Hey, welcome back to Frank and Angie's Retire Early Lifestyle. Been doing it for a long time. And here's the thing, we're still here in tropical Puerto Vallarta, and today we're going to talk about some walkers. What is the future of travel? It's like if you aren't preparing for the future of travel, that those that have some kind of power, it may not be legitimate power, but you have to admit it is a power. They have some kind of power. They have the power to persuade institutions such as airlines and other businesses. And of course it's the middle of October. We just went through a hurricane, which if anybody missed that, we had a line account of us in the hurricane, getting hit by a hurricane, smacking our roof and all that. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. A lot of things are happening around the world. Allow us to give you our perspective, if you would. Thank you for coming to our videos.
How's the water, hon? Is there any crocodiles? Did you look around? What about poisonous snakes? Is there any of those poisonous snakes? Did you look around really good before I come in?
I guess it's kind of risky since I'm
What about riptides? Is there any riptides today? Okay. There's no riptides, no snakes, and no crocodiles. Okay, I'm gonna go in.
I don't make these videos to be the guy that tells the truth, because I don't need the truth. I already have the truth. You need to be hearing the guy that tells the truth. That's what the videos are for. They're for you.
There is no difference.
Why? Because it's a nightmare out there. There are so many things to talk about. Where should we even start? Somebody was saying that some airline quoted them $30,000 to fly out of Australia. I don't know how true that is.
Who would take that flight?
Nobody's going to take the flight, but that's the point. The point is that what these crazy people have in mind is so out there and so crazy, and they know it. And that's why they tell us, because they know you aren't going to believe it. But if you start thinking about, well, how would they accomplish it? How would you, if you were trying to accomplish this, how would you go about it? Well, if you wanted to kill off travel, the easiest way would be to just raise prices. You would say, what kind of deluded businessman would do such a thing? They would just kill off their own business, and you'd be right. But guess what? It wouldn't be the first time that communists killed the goose that laid the golden egg, because that's what they do. They're crazy.
They are killing travel. A lot of the airlines now are limiting routes.
You already have limiting routes. I know I have friends and even family that has traveled recently. They don't seem to be able to get on a plane without being rerouted from their original trip. It's like, what's going on? I mean, yeah, I took a direct flight, but now I have to, I'm being rerouted. I got to stay overnight over here and over there, and it's just a nightmare. And so is this something I don't already know? Do I make the video for me to be the guy that tells the truth? No, I do the video for you so that you can have somewhere to go to hear what you should be hearing. Just to say, when we were in Ecuador, which we spent 8 years there, straight living there in Ecuador with small side trips. We were blogging back then. We were the first bloggers in Ecuador, and we were telling people, don't go to the North Coast. It's an earthquake zone. Don't go there. We told all our people that for years, until a few years later. Nobody was listening, by the way, just a very few. And even then, we were the people that were telling it like it is. We were those people. And unfortunately, a few years later, the president of Ecuador had to come out and exhort people, don't go. But that was after the fact. After the big earthquake came and destroyed beachfront condos and killed some of them. And then after that quake, more quakes kept coming. And the president just came out and said, don't go there, get the heck out of there. And that's his country.
Don't live on the coast.
Yeah, don't live on the North Coast. But there are still expats going on the North Coast. They're still getting on social media
Still
and
buying
talking about
condos.
how wonderful it is and this and that. And all. And we went to the North Coast, but we didn't stay there. We went there and we visited. And we talked to people there. And we interviewed people. Yeah, we're sorry to see things happen to people that should not have happened. You know, none of those people should have lost their property and or their lives, you know, in the Ecuador North Coast, you know. That shouldn't have happened. We were the very first video when Portugal first broke out, the promotions for Portugal first broke out. We made the very first video called 3 Good Reasons Not to Go to Portugal. Of course, we were the only ones saying such a thing at the time. Just to let you know, we're not afraid to be the first ones to say something, and just because people aren't listening, that's more of a reason why you should listen, because we're obviously way ahead of the pack on all these things. Now though, I'm not tooting my own horn, I'm making a point.
Yeah, we're tooting.
No, here's the point. Now there's videos saying why, here's the title, why most Americans won't like Portugal. Now there's videos like that, and this is like 10 years later, or 5 years later, whatever it was. And they've got hundreds of thousands of views. Because of course now there are so many people that have been there and, you know, for one reason or another left. And now they're watching it because they want to validate. People want to validate what they already feel and what they already know. So if they don't already know or feel something, and you're the only guy saying it, they're more likely to ignore you. Which makes a channel like mine really challenging, because we're way ahead of the pack most of the time. Say that we're the ones saying, look, what are we going to do about travel? They want to kill off travel because they're crazy and they want to do their little plan, and part of that plan is to kill off travel. And a lot of people, they don't see it right now and they don't feel it right now, so what do? They ignore it. But we're starting to see little trickles of it already. Well, you might say, well, you're over there in Mexico. Yeah, we are. The ability to move around is a liberty. It's part of liberty, part of being free, part of being free. But there are times when the world just isn't cooperating. You know, it's like when if you were, you know, in 1944 trying to travel around, well, that would have been a really crazy thing to try and do. So there are times when you have to get out of Dodge, get out of the way, and go back to what you know, and that's homesteading. Except for this time, you hope and pray that you have other people that are doing the same thing that are close by, that you can together make each other's life more palatable. And so a lot of people are milking it to the last minute, you know, well, I'm just going to travel now, and then if anything happens, boom, I'm on a plane and I'm gone. And I just hope and pray that these people aren't too far, because you can be too far. I mean, I'm hearing people say ridiculous things like go to Timbuktu, halfway across the world to this country over here, because there's a little bit of freedom over there. But if things change overnight, which is what happens, now you're stuck there. So there's a whole, look, being abroad, the whole underpinning and foundation of why going abroad, a lot of people think it's the cost. The cost is part of it, But the underlying thing about being a traveler is that you can always leave. If things turn bad, you can always leave. But this is different. They want to make it so you can't. Not only can't you leave, you can't travel. That's what they're trying to get this to. And so we need to be thinking about designing systems that are independent of what these crazy people want to do. I'll just leave it at that. So this is the question that comes up now frequently for us. We're just taking God's lead on where our next homestead is going to be. And we just want God to line up the place and the people. Let me know what you think of all that, about all that. Leave us a comment below. Thanks for coming to the video and have a wonderful day.